Chewing the Cud, Season 1, Episode 4. My name is Andrew Jones.
And mine's Neil Greggor, and we're going to chat again.
Yeah, it's that time again, I'm afraid, for you to listen to us drone on this month. Our guest this month is my neighbour, who I mentioned, I believe I mentioned in one of our original podcasts, Rob Todd from Wessex Hoofcare. How are you doing, Rob?
Very well, thanks. Yeah.
Good. Rob is the foot trimmer I mentioned, so as I said, I thought I'd try and manage to pull him in, so I have. So thank you, Rob. You've most welcome. So, Rob, we're here to talk about you and what you do, but I guess tell us a bit about yourself to start with. Where you're from? How did you get into what you're doing today?
This is going to be one of those blank spots now as my mind goes. I've
Are you from a farming background?
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Dairy farm? That's all right, Rob. Don't worry.
I grew up down in Devon. Come from a farming family.
Yeah.
Got to 16, 17. Parents emigrated to France. I stayed here and went to agriculture college.
Yeah.
And from there, moved to a farm in Somerset where I milked the cows for about sort of 5 or 6 years and did a lot of feet. Really enjoyed that side of it and sort of put myself on every course going and then gradually got myself qualified. And at that particular job, I never used to get paid.
This is the milking job.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I never used to get paid overtime. I had time off in lieu.
Yeah.
So in dairy farming, certain times a year,
Exactly.
I did a lot of overtime, so I had a lot of time off. So I bought myself a crush. And just sort of built up a bit of a foot trimming round in my spare time. But that's got to be over 25 years ago now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Been doing it a little while then.
Yeah. I'll soon have an idea. Another 10 years, we'll have it nailed, I think.
So it isn't your back aching by now, but I suppose now you've got the tip over crush, it's not so bad.
Yeah, no, I've been blessed with a strong back, to be honest. It's never really been problematic. Me maiming myself with tools and grinders and knives has always been an issue.
I certainly remember you foot trimming while you was it leg in plaster, wasn't it?
Yeah. Broke my leg playing. I've played. Well, I don't now since COVID, but I've played rugby. Since I was about sort of 13, and after 40, everything starts to break. So I did. I broke my leg and turned up to you when you were down the road there.
Yes.
With a feed bag over my cast.
Yes. I should say that's how you and I originally met, wasn't it? Is when I first came back, 13 and a half years ago.
Yeah.
You were foot trimmer on the farm I was milking cows for at that point when I returned from Oz, and that's how we sort of met.
Yeah.
And sort of kept in touch, bump into each other every so often. But the stupid thing is, even though you live around the corner, we usually only see each other at things like shows further up country or whatever, don't we? It's not it's usually a beep and a wave as we go past each other. Yeah. You usually know when you're passing because you hear the jingle of the
there's no chance of me sneaking in or out.
It's like, oh, there goes Rob again.
Yeah.
And just especially my office overlooks the road, I soon know where you are. But yeah. So you've been foot trimming, what, 25 years?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and your own business for, must be a fair while now.
Oh. Truth, yeah. No, blimey, yeah, it must be, it's maybe 15 or so years now, I suppose,
Yeah. So, as you say, you'll know how to do it shortly.
Yeah. Well, I'm slowly getting there, yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say, as well as a foot trimmer, you're a mobility scorer as well.
Yes,
right?
yeah. I do a bit of that as well.
So just offer the service to the clients, basically.
Yeah, it's nothing I've sort of really pushed. It's sort of clients have come to me for it. But it's a
bit like, I guess, both of us. We can both mobility score, but it's not something we push. But it's there if somebody asks you, can you do it? Yeah. Yes, we can.
Yeah, which is normally the way it sort of comes about.
Yeah, and when you say when you hoof trimming, you wouldn't go into the herd first in mobility score to see what you should actually be trimming, or do they usually bring them out for you?
I play it by ear, to be honest.
Right.
When it's a new a new farm, whether I'm taking over from another foot trimmer or they've never had a foot trimmer before. The situation is quite fluid and dynamic, and you have to. But
it can make a difference, can't it, in terms of them regularly foot trimming, even if then you're just doing the once or they're doing the. Because I remember when you and I met, I think if I remember right, we used to do about 24 cows in a day, and when I sort of finished, you were doing what? 50% more on top of that, wasn't it?
Well, initially there was a lot of curative work there, wasn't it, and between us and.
There was a lot of foot problems, but that's what it is. Is you instead of having 6 curative ones to do, you were doing one. Okay, I obviously had missed them as the herdman. Hold my hand up to it. I did. Some you just don't notice, do you?
Yeah.
But it was a lot of the not preventative you were doing, but a lot of the curative stuff was I was doing myself on farm
as you
with you,
it,
as you saw it.
Well, early intervention as well is absolute key, and that has a massive difference. Things don't get the chance to develop; they're so much easier to cure.
Exactly. So I'm Neil's, I guess, sort of started that way. New client, what would you do? Where would you go? How would you? I guess most of it's probably word of mouth.
Yes, I don't really advertise. It is sort of it is word of mouth, and recommendation is
key,
the best sort of advertisement there is. I've found, because I've got original customers. I've got customers.
Still got some of your original.
Yeah, I've been to one this morning, and I've got an assistant on with me now, and I didn't realise until I pointed out to him that was the very first farm I went to.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So I must be doing something right there.
Exactly. That is definitely a good thing.
Yeah, and you know what farmers are like. They do like to spread good news as well as bad, I suppose.
They certainly do. Yeah. I was actually speaking to a guy, might have been this week, or last week or whenever, and we were actually speaking about mobility scoring, and I was just saying to him, well, actually, as they come into the parlour, you should be mobility scoring them every day, not once a week, or when I arrive or when the foot trimmer arrives.
Yeah.
If you're actually doing it every day, you bring down, like you saying, prevention. So if she's coming in and she's limping slightly, have a look. Why is she limping?
But I will get, for instance, that farmer I was just talking about. If he has a cow come in lame in the morning, I'll get a text or a phone call saying, I've got a lame cow, can you call in?
Yeah.
And when I have that sort of relationship and you're keeping a herd to that standard, I love that, and I don't mind that at all. And I'll call in there on the way home.
Yeah.
I'll give him a window, and he'll have the cow ready in the crush for me, and
have a quick look.
But that's that end of the scale.
Yeah.
There is an opposite end.
I mean, we hate to say, let's be honest about our industry. It's not all roses.
No.
There are things that can be done better, but you say the ideal should be, you see that cow lame, you pick it up that day.
Yeah.
Because it will make a difference. Sometimes we all know you can't see what the problem is that day. 3 days later, you pick it up and you know what the problem is. Or you find a mark where you know that the pus comes from, and bang, you've got it.
But the earlier you do it, the more money you save.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I found in my line of work is that cost that you save is a hidden cost.
Yeah.
So it's an easier cost to ignore, if you like, because nobody writes a cheque for it.
To be honest, it's a bit like the truth. Yeah. It's the preventative foot trimming as well, though, isn't it? Because I've seen that on herds. It's just like, we've got to pay whatever it is a cow to do it, and there's that cost. But what's it saving us? But I know a farm I got you on in the past, and the herdsman at the time, now retired, was like, it's so much better since we got back into doing it a yearly trim at dry off.
Yeah.
Moving forward, we are not getting the issues through the lactation, and that's got to pay for itself.
Yeah.
Surely got to pay for itself.
But it's a controllable cost as well.
Yeah.
It's predictable.
Yeah.
And manageable.
You know what
With lameness isn't. Lameness can run and snowball.
Yeah. And your antibiotics that you're using, which everybody's now shouting about, and all of that snowballs into it being very, very cheap to use you as a foot trimmer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. What the cost, a preventative foot trim maybe once a lactation compared to a case of lameness. You lost production.
Loss of production, loss of fertility, loss of...
But then, you know...
Yeah, again, the whole thing just sort of
Yeah.
runs away very quickly.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, it's that isn't the only answer though. It's, you know, I'm not taking away anything from what you do, but there's a genetic element, which is obviously what Neil can talk about. There's a nutrition element, which I can talk about. I mean, I always remember, I mean, he's gone to New Zealand now, which is such a shame, but John Huxley did a paper which came out, and it was the question asked to farmers, and I just feel it wasn't paid enough attention to at the time. Do thin cows go lame or lame cows go thin?
Fat pads.
And it was the fact that thin cows are more likely to go lame on any given day than the other way round. And it was anything below, I think it was 2.25 condition score. I can't remember the percentage, but it was just so much greater chance of it going lame. And if they drop too quickly, like you say, fat pads, because they've now found that fat pad between the pedal bone and the hoof. And that's, we always talked about, she's losing condition off her back, but it's not. The first place she loses condition is in that foot pad.
Yeah.
And like for me, from nutrition, if you go on farm and you know there's a lot of sole ulcers going on, the likelihood is there's a nutritional problem going on, and that is more likely to give you the answer.
Or an environmental issue.
Could be. All right, it's a factor. Well, for me, from nutritional, then sole ulcers, I will think, okay, that's what I'm looking, because I know nutritionally I'm not going to have the same influence on digi or whatever it happens to be.
But what environmental conditions are the main cause for sole ulcers?
Standing time,
Right.
cubicle acceptance,
Right.
The condition of the concrete.
Because that's the obvious one, isn't it? The condition of the concrete. But like you saying, that's the standing time before the dairy, which one can forget about quickly, and then acceptance of the cubicles.
Yeah.
Never given it as much thought, honestly, on cubicles. Yeah. I mean, I know that's important, but you sort of...
Yeah. But a good cubicle shed and a bad one, when you put them side by side, the difference is night and day.
Yeah.
There's one I can think of in particular. I'll go there in the morning and I can set up in the shedding pen, and I'll finish up sort of roughly the same time as milking, and you can look out across the cubicle shed and everything is lying down.
Yeah.
And that's
You can't beat that.
No.
Yeah. No. Because the girls want to lie down.
They want to lie down.
16 hours a day?
Ideally minimum 14.
14, yeah.
The cows that lie the longest, or the longer she lies, the more milk she will produce. I think. I should know this. Is it for every extra hour she lies, it's an extra litre of milk?
Yeah.
So that certainly with the cow signals.
Cost.
Wearing my cow signals hat. That's the ideal. They found that the best herds are like a 14 hours lying time. And as you say, that's what comes into it. Is if you look at a budget of a cow's day, there isn't a lot of time really for milking if she can ideally display what she should be doing. So as you say, it's standard. So you're losing out of, okay, let's put it like this. It should be 14 hours lying, 6 hours eating, well there's 20 hours. Socialising, sleeping, they've only really got an hour and a half, 2 hours max for milking.
And you don't want the last cow in the collecting yard to be stood there for more than 2 hours, really, do you?
Which is, it's a topic for another day, but I mean that's some of the reasons why I know some people like the robots, because they're not hanging around, they are in and out, and they're not stood around. But as you say, you've got those, we've all gotten those cows that might be stood there for 4 hours. If it's older parlour, larger herd, it takes time, and it has its effect on their production, on their eating, on their feet. It all just snowballs, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, do you work with robot herds?
Yes.
And what would you say is the best for feed, robot herd or conventional milking, or?
From the standing point of view, probably a robot herd, to be fair. Yeah, because
they're not standing, are they?
No, they get to sort of express their natural sort of behaviour and routine.
Yeah.
And the robot herds, I notice a difference in the cow as well, to be honest.
Do you? In what way?
more inquisitive, more
Calm.
calmer. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I do get.
robot cows.
Yeah.
Don't school them. Oh, it's lovely.
They're definitely more, I don't know, placid.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, think about it, every robot herd I've ever visited, they are a lot quieter.
Yeah, you can
They've got us to put up with, have they?
Mm-hmm.
You can walk amongst a robot herd
Yeah.
a little easier than you can a
They're
conventional
not
herd.
usually so twitchy or flighty out
Yeah.
And temperament, does that have a big effect on feet? I mean, now that we just mentioned that, wilder cows.
Yeah, well, she's could be prone to damaging herself, sort of thing.
She
Yeah,
flays around a bit.
yeah.
Yeah, so you would find that.
You say that, weren't bells supposed to be very good on their feet, and they weren't very good on their temperament, were they? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept, because if you breed the leg a little bit more straight, that she's sort of standing up, right? She's almost like walking on her tippy toes. It's not going to be that great on the feet, I would imagine. And that's what Bell did. So
Yeah, he put straight leg in them.
yeah, it straightened the leg up a bit. Do you ever notice that straighter leg or more sickled leg?
Yeah, a lot,
big
because it sort of does express itself through the foot as well.
Yeah.
And how the pedal bone sits and how sort of relaxed the bones are above it, sort of thing.
Right.
Because you'll get a shallower heel and a longer hoof, sort of thing.
I was going to say, what do you notice? Because I mean, no, I'll let you answer first. What do you think shows more late? What do you see more of, the ones that are more sickled or the ones that are more set?
I see it all really. I wouldn't say there's a favourite. Yeah.
No, just from my experience, like we were in North Queensland, okay, it was wet, and that's what made a huge difference because it made the feet soft. I would argue those that had more set, so more. Did I say sickle and set? Same thing. Those that had more set to the leg were the ones that had more problems.
Yeah.
Because you say you ended up slightly shallower heel, longer in the toe. They seem to walk more on their pasterns at times. Whereas, so I personally, I mean, we've discussed this before, haven't we? The breeding indexes, people don't understand them sometimes. You have negatives and positive. Extreme straight is a negative. Extreme sickle is a positive. So people think, oh, I need that. You don't. You need the in between.
Zero.
You need the zero. And people, there are some people don't understand that. They think, oh, positive. I've got to use that bull. That's not necessarily the right thing. But I know myself, I always preferred an animal that was just slightly straighter in the leg because I felt they always did better. And I'm getting not an extreme, but just slightly on the straighter than I guess was perceived as ideal.
Yeah.
That was just my experience of what I preferred out there. But as we all know with cows, everything's multifactorial, whether it's nutrition, genetics, management,
And their environment.
environment.
No two are the same.
No.
Just like the issues, really.
So I mean, from your point of view, what you've mentioned environment a couple of times now, what are the do's and don'ts for environment? What do you say you see as really good, really bad?
It's pretty obvious, really.
Well, I know, but sometimes,
I like to see a really clean environment, clean water troughs, clean concrete, unbroken concrete, space to roam. Not a lot really that has a big difference on how the cows.
As you say, most of it's obvious, but sometimes you've got to say it to be, as you say, broken concrete's not good. What's the word I'm looking for? Space to roam. All of those sorts of things come into it. It's when they're crowded, it's when they're pushed, it's when there's broken concrete. You're more likely to.
They all come together as well, generally, don't they?
Yeah. And as you say, it's what when I was doing the cow signals, why someone that was teaching me that, where it's rubbing, where you've got shiny metal, ask why, because obviously for whatever reason it's rubbing there because it's not right for the cow. It's why is that trough rubbing there, or why is that rail? Well, because it's in the wrong place, so she's rubbing herself.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, on farm, you rock up on farm. What are the do's and don'ts as far as Rob's concerned in terms of rocking up on farm? For what do you want from your farmers? What do you think? Yeah, I wish he'd do this, or I wish he'd do that. And I know every farm's different, and you'll have the really good ones and the really bad ones. And
That's the thing. It's different every farm I go to. So
I know, but in an ideal world, what do you want from your clients when you turn up? I guess Cows Ready is the obvious one.
Yeah.
But there's some that they're not.
Yeah. Well, this time of year you get that sort of blank stare as you rock up in the yard, and they go,
"Oh, I forgot you were coming."
"Oh, you were here today." Cows are just gone.
Of course, because then they go to 2 or 3 camps away, and
just turn around. Again, a lot of dialogue, really.
Yeah.
I need the cows there. I need to know what cows are there, which ones are they drying off. So it's nice to have a list.
Who's preventative and who's curative?
Basically, yeah. And at this time of year, a fan and a hose pipe.
We should say, while you're not going to hear this until, what do you say, October?
Okay, a roof.
Yes. we are recording this in the heat of July.
Yeah.
So a hose pipe and a fan at the moment. Do you say a roof?
Yeah.
A roof.
Just to make the working. And
a heater?
No, I thrive in the cold. I much prefer the cold weather. Yeah.
You're not too soft then.
No, not when it comes to cold weather. I'm suffering at the moment. But,
me too. Yeah.
But it's not. Just a general sort of easy environment for myself and the cows to work in. If I can have a pen to hold a few, and an area where the main lot can sort of relax and eat and lie down and drink.
Yeah.
Then we're all happy.
And then how many? Obviously, you've got your own crush, but I know you've got some clients who've got their own. How many have got their own crush that you use, and how many use yours?
I would only use client crushes for sort of. We got a lame one. Would you mind?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when I'm there for a day, I'd use mine.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of the one I thought had got a foot crush put in that you wanted or something.
No, I use mine as well. Cause
you still use?
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's not in the ideal situation, to be honest, because they have the herd split into 4, so we do 50 at a time, sort of thing. So it just the logistics don't work for that.
Fair enough.
So,
No. So it is your own. You use the tip over exclusively these days?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you offer the option of the old crush that you used to have? Or
no, sold it.
At one point you did have both. Didn't you?
Yeah. But it wasn't getting used. So it was when I sort of made the change from a conventional upright to a rollover, because the rollover doesn't get a great press for whatever reason.
No, there's people that. I remember when you got it, as you say, there's a thinking that it's not ideal for cows, and people are a bit wary of it. But obviously, everyone's come accepting of it.
Well, this is my second one now, and the last one did 12 years, I think. So, everybody bar none. Any sort of apprehension that was shown initially has completely gone, and people are like it now.
You lost anybody because of it?
No, not at all.
I guess they had the option to start with, didn't they?
Yeah. And thankfully, I've got good customers, and they gave me a chance with it, and
they can't seem happy with it too.
Yeah. Well, they those that aren't happy in it can't really exhibit too much. You sort of pick them up and roll them a bit, and they'll fidget a bit, and then they'll stop. And you keep going.
To be honest, it's a lot easier for you.
Yeah.
In terms of height wise.
Yeah, it's a good working height, and you're not sort of contorting the cow in any way either.
No.
Her legs are straight. You just lash them in,
Yeah.
so you're not bending hocks or knees or anything, which is
she's trying to get herself out of the situation.
Which is good when you have cows that have sort of injured stifles or something like that, and the cow's lame, might be the leg. In my crush, you can pick her up and not sort of aggravate any sort of leg issues or anything like that.
I know where I was at the farm I was at in Leicester. I should say yesterday when we were recording this, but they had a rollover crush on farm, and one of the herdsmen was doing the feet, and as you say, just come in, bang, just the job done and out they go again. And it's not, as you say, it's an operator safety, I'd argue, is probably a lot better as well, because as you say, from my own experience, you're not getting, you're not bending over and getting. I mean, might not remember, but I mean, I certainly remember down there they had a whopper. Nothing wrong with a whopper. I like a whopper, but obviously I ended up with severe concussion, which
they come with helmets now, don't they? Whoppers.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I can really think was that was it. I remember doing her front foot. I was just untying. You normally hear when they move in a crush like that, can't you? But like I say, you always jingle up the road. And all I remember, I think I was just undoing her front foot, and she must have just swung and smacked me on the top of the head and gave me the severe concussion. Yeah. And after that, I always used to tie them up with a halter. I mean, the only conventional crush, then all-purpose one, obviously they'd have a box round the head yoke, wouldn't they? So they can't swing like that, but a whopper doesn't. And oh well, so be it.
Yeah. It easily happens, doesn't it? Exactly. Working with cows.
Absolutely. Whereas with that, you're just tipping them over. They can't in the same way, and job done.
No, you're away from the head for one, but
you seem to get through them quicker as well. So again, that's a good. They're in there a lot less.
Yeah. No, the throughput is massively better than my old conventional crush. I mean, you do all 4 feet as well as routine.
Well,
Sometimes you tie up every foot separately.
Yeah, exactly. It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference.
And what would you recommend foot baths? Every week, or throughout the year, differ?
I always put it when I'm talking to a customer, if this was my herd of cows, every time they come out of the parlour, they go for a bath.
Right, you'd have the foot bath going all the time.
All the time.
You'd have it going all the time.
Yeah.
Not 2 out of 3, or you.
No.
And what would you
spray the teats every day, so you clean the feet every day.
That makes
good point.
Yeah. What would you? Do you have a recommendation of what you would use in a foot bath, or depends on the herd?
I would use formalin at 1 or 2% at that regularity.
On every time they go through.
Yeah.
Not like say you wash them, they go through it every day, but just water a couple of them and formalin. You'd have formalin every day.
Yeah. 1% in a 200 litre bath. You don't even smell it. It's not a lot. Yeah. 1 or 2%.
That makes sense then.
Yeah.
Anybody listen to your advice?
Couple.
But have you noticed a difference when they have?
Yeah. Because I've managed to persuade a few customers to fit automated baths.
Oh yeah.
And it's a
really good thing.
Oh, it's massive. The change is huge.
Yeah.
Because a lot of sort of ulcers and white lines and things are relatively easy to cure in themselves. It's when that sort of proud flesh gets dermatitis on it, the problem becomes very hard to rectify. But if the dermatitis is always going to be there in the background, but if you're managing it with a bath, then these sort of other injuries you can clear up.
So secondary infections would be less than.
Yeah.
And then what's uncurable? If you had to say, if you get a cow with bad feet, what can't you sort out? Like, I mean, you're talking white line, or is there anything that's?
It depends on that secondary infection, really. Anything primary is easy to rectify, but sometimes you don't see that cow soon enough, and things develop. You get a toe necrosis or something like that. Then I'm limited in what I can do.
That's what I mean.
Strictly speaking, I'm not allowed to enter the body cavity. I cut the cow in any way, because that's classed as an operation, and that's a vet's area.
Whereas necrosis can only be coped with by management, basically, isn't it?
I've been working closely with a local vet.
You've been working closely with a local vet?
Yeah, at Garston over at Frin. James, who is he's one of those unicorns. He's a good foot vet, unfortunately. And we're certain sort of toe necrosis we're finding we can cure by combining our efforts. We James will deaden the foot, and with my tools sort of thing, we can sort of get rid of the necrosis.
Getting rid of what you get rid of. Okay.
And as soon as that's gone, like the cow's ability to get over stuff, it never ceases to amaze me. So, but you give them the opportunity, get rid of that necrosis, and we are finding a lot of success with it, to be honest.
Are you?
Yeah. But it's nothing I can really run with because it's a veterinary area. So
Yeah, you've got to work with the vet.
yeah.
I mean, I know myself when I did the foot trimming, the Dutch, whatever his name, Peter, whatever his years and years ago.
Kloosterman.
Yes, that's it. You know, there was vets on that course, and I hate to say it, I'm sorry vets if you're listening, but sometimes you need to take advice from people that do this stuff every day in terms of whether it's foot trimming, nutrition, genetics, whatever.
I am finding over the 20 or so years I've been doing this, initially any sort of conversation with a vet was one way and very short. But now the vets are younger and much more open to collaboration.
That's a good thing.
It's fantastic. There's a couple practices in all directions from here that I have very good relationships now and work together with.
And that's what it's about. It's having, as you say, certainly older vets. I don't know whether maybe it's not a conversation for today, but yeah. So you say 20 years. What do you think has changed in that 20 years? Do you think you see more digi? Do you think you see more white line? Do you think it's because of the type of cow? What do you think has changed in 20 years of doing cow's feet?
I think I want to say lots, but I don't think it's changed. It's moved around.
Right.
I think.
Explain that a bit further.
I think there's always been bad feet about, and there's always been good feet about, and that's what's moved around. I think.
Exactly.
Not
one wrong bull and you buggered it.
Yeah. Or one poor manager.
Yeah.
You buggered it.
Yeah.
Or the parlour gets a bit old.
Yeah. But I think not so much now, but selling milk was very competitive and benchmarks were being made.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for the right reasons, but it was having the right effect.
Yeah.
Mobility scoring.
Yeah.
Like M&S and Waitrose, you had to have a foot trim and it had to be grade 1 Dutch trained, things like that, and that's where you did notice an improvement. But then there were those that fell below it, so they went the other way. We'll do nothing and we'll hit that bottom line because we'll know we'll get that, but we're not going to spend.
Yeah.
If you get where I'm coming from, it.
Well, I do, because I know people that have gone for the milk bar they've gone for, who, funnily enough, is now ahead of most others, because I guess they want to keep it. But I know people that have gone with them because we don't want to worry about having to do the Yonis program. We don't have to worry about the extra hoops we've got to jump through. And
that's what I'm worried about at the moment, because milk is short. I think these things might slip now.
So yeah, I mean, what you're saying in terms of soya, I mean, I would say I've noticed that as well. That's just gone quiet, and I've got a couple of clients now who've decided to go soya free, but with amino acids, because of the benefits from the trial I was involved with 2 winters ago. But they're sort of saying, yeah, I mean, I know one of them's an Arla supplier, and he said, well, they're still talking about sustainability, so I want to be ahead of it. The other one's a Sainsbury's supplier, and a year ago it was on the agenda, whereas now it just seems to have disappeared. But he said, no, I'm going to go for it, because if we're getting these health benefits that the trial you're involved with is showing, then the cost is no greater. But if we get like we talked about hidden costs earlier, we get the improved mastitis, or as in less mastitis, we get less metritis, we get improved carving index. That's what will make the difference, and that's what matters. Less time in front of the vet. But you're right, it just because even today, I was saying to you earlier, wasn't it? Is it an article today? As I say, we're recording this in July. There's an article saying, I think it's come out of Arla again, saying milk production is dropping due to staffing issues.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does. You're right. I think. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Is some of these things I hope they don't, but might slide because they want the milk.
Yeah.
So things will maybe get away with that shouldn't be got away with, or old habits. Let's put it another way: old habits may return.
Yeah. That might just be my pessimistic sort of outlook, but yeah, I hope I'm wrong. But because it's only the cows it'll be off their back, nobody else's.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yes. And that is, you say, off the cow's back. I'm just thinking myself now of somebody I've seen recently, not their fault entirely, or not entirely not their fault, but they were a fresh ways producer. And of course, when COVID happened, they were just told, we don't want your milk.
Mm-hmm.
And those cows are still suffering for it. Not the farmer's fault, because he couldn't, he had to stop feeding them, he couldn't afford to feed them, but those cows have been, they can't be switched on and off. They've been programmed to produce. All of a sudden, feed stopped. There was a lot of poor conditioned cows. Now, it wasn't because he didn't want to feed them. He couldn't afford to feed them because all of a sudden he was told nobody wanted his milk. And cows can't just switch on and off. If they want more milk, it takes usually a lactation to get them right to go again. It's not just okay, suddenly we've got it, bang, we've got to do it. You've got to wait till the next lactation to push them forward again.
But I think the milk buyer needs to take some responsibility of that, though, because the way they price and pay does have a direct sort of impact on how the cows are farmed. And things like that is a perfect point. Like they shouldn't be allowed to do that.
No.
Because the cows can't do it.
Cows can't do it, and this. I mean, I went in there and gave them some advice on how we, they're mainly autumn block calving. We've got to set them up for this next coming season. This is a couple of things you can do without too much hassle. We've got to get it right now, because if you don't get it right now, you will still be paying for it. I mean, I had a client sold up recently, and he admits himself, 2018. Those in-calf heifers, he probably didn't manage them as well as he should have, in terms of it was dry, probably should have given them some supplementary feed, didn't think he needed to. 2 lactations down the line, you could still tell those cows, 3 lactations, some of them, you could still tell those cows were always just that little bit on the thin side, because they'd just been pushed just that little bit too far back in 2018. And it wasn't for want of trying, but just sometimes it doesn't just happen.
Yeah,
it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of factors that influence it. So, exactly what we say now. It's not just one aspect. And that's what the milk. Because like you were saying about cement, I always think of it how directly that's from the milk price. Because if I haven't got enough money to repair my cement work, at the end of the day my cow's feet are going to suffer. So,
but that's that will.
It's a false economy, though, isn't it?
And it's going to come to an end at some point.
Yeah, that's it.
Because you'll run out of cows. You still have bad concrete.
You don't have any cows. You run out of cows, and so then your milk buyer won't have any milk from you.
Yeah, problem solved.
Problem solved. Except at the moment where there's a shortage.
But I mean, as we sort of come to the end of today's podcast, what, I don't know, life lessons or what don't become a foot trimmer. Exactly.
You're asking this question.
I know. What is there anything you'd really want to say to people? I do have one last one. How do you introduce yourself to people? Do you say I'm a foot trimmer, or do most people go, "What's that?" I'm a cow podiatrist, not podiatrist. What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, pedicures.
Pedicures. That's it.
It's become much easier since the Hoof GP, because everybody seems to be watching that.
Someone else mentioned that earlier, actually.
But when you ringing for insurance or doing anything like that, if you're doing it online, you're looking for your category. There's not one. Or you ring them up and you tell them, I'm a cattle foot trimmer. What?
Yeah. So for me, it's just easy to tell. I just feed cows.
Yeah.
Mine doesn't come up either.
No, I've heard some good descriptions of what you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had that. I remember at a christening, and I said, I'm a dairy nutritionist, and they're like, what, you tell us how to eat dairy? No, I tell people how to feed their cows.
So that you can eat dairy.
Yeah, exactly. That was just one I thought. So no, sorry, going back, what final words? What would your thoughts and be to anybody?
What? Generally?
Yeah.
On the today's chosen subject. I'm not asking for the answer to everything.
Yeah. Well, again, it's a difficult question to answer because every day I go to a farm and every day the issues are different. The cows are different. The farmer's different, and I act accordingly, sort of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no one answer to everything.
Sometimes you can offer your advice, and other times you pick your fight, sort of thing. Because other times, I won't bother saying anything because
not worth it.
Yeah. Which is a bit of a down way to leave it, but no, I don't know. It's I don't know how to answer that really.
Any final questions from you, Neil?
No, that was great. No, I think it's nice to chat to somebody who works in the same industry in the same way as we do.
Yeah.
Continuously working with people and trying to find solutions to stuff. And as you say, sometimes they are delighted in your solutions. Sometimes you can see this, they're not going to get it anyway.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't suit their system or so. No, it was good.
Good. Well, in that case, I'd like to thank Rob for his time. So thank you, Rob.
No problem.
And as we say, any follow. If anyone's got any follow-up questions, as usual, the email is podcast@ChewintheCud.com, or follow us on Twitter. So @ChewintheCudPod. On that note, I think I'll say thank you, everybody, and we'll hopefully speak to you again soon.
Now for the really boring bit, I'm afraid, the legal disclaimer. The information provided during this podcast has been prepared for general information purposes only and does not constitute advice. The information must not be relied upon for any purpose, and no representation or warranty is given to its accuracy, completeness or otherwise. Any reference to other organisations, businesses or products during this podcast are not endorsements or recommendations of Chewing the Cud Limited. The views of Andrew Jones are personal and may not be the views of Chewing the Cud Limited, and the views of Neil Greggor are personal and may not be the views of Master Gen Limited and any affiliated companies. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.